we would never take flights or hotel rooms from them or anything that they would pay for to get us out there. He's got a little bit of money saved up from Sanrio. That is how we're eating, and we're like really roughing it out here, and we're trying to convince all these labels like we don't need anything from you, like to keep our like give us what we want or we're walking.
How are you?
Great, man. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
What a setup, dude.
Not
nice.
Yeah, I mean, I live here, so yeah. I got a hot plate.
Solid work, dude. Yes, sir.
How are you holding up? How's tour going?
Oh man, it's good, man. You know, again, having my girl back home, it's just a little tough. We're trying to get this house together, and she's 9 months pregnant, so I'm having a blast. I'm so fulfilled, but there's always something going on at home that I'm like, oh baby, I'm so sorry I can't be there, and I love you, and I'm trying to be both places at once. It's a little difficult right now, but
you're gonna get it done before the day,
yeah,
though?
yeah, and she's absolutely crushing it. So again, she's God is a woman, man.
You're goddamn right.
Yeah,
congrats on the record, man. It's really, really good. You feeling good about it?
I feel great, man, and we're getting ready to put out a kind of deluxe version. We're calling it like the complete edition, where we're going to kind of box everything together from part 1 and 1.5 and 2 and all the things. And so we're adding like 5 more songs on it. And, I think it's going to be really cool, man.
It's been interesting to get to know your story a little bit, like finding out about the music you were listening to around the house. One of the things I found out that I really loved, that like this song was really important to you as a kid. Can you play this?
Yeah. My Sweet Miss Berry, man.
Can you tell that story? This is Al Green.
Yeah, My Sweet Miss Berry. So I went to move in with my dad for a little while in 4th grade, and I was lucky enough to be in the same classroom as my cousin Cole, which so at least I had a friend there, and we were coming back from recess, and I remember her saying, like, Miss Berry saying that if everybody just comes back and doesn't talk, we go back to class, we just do a workbook, so nobody says anything, I'll play Al Green. And that was like a, I guess like a reward for doing your work diligently. And so I remember sitting in the line with my cousin, like, well, who's Al Green? And everybody's like, shut up, like, don't ruin this for us, and I like feeling okay. Like, I mean, on the way back to the class with the bubbles in their mouth and everything, doing all the way through the hallway, single file, man. Like, I mean, we look like a little army, dude. Like, she had them just whipped into shape. And sure enough, man, I got back there and I remember hearing it for the first time, just like, and seeing all these, I mean, we're 8 years old, seeing all these 4th graders, just like that song came on first time. That was the first one I heard. And I remember it as vivid as day, sitting there looking at my workbook and hearing that. I'm so tired of being alone, and seeing the kids across me and everyone in the class, like they understood real heartbreak, at 8 years old. Yeah. And it's so funny though, because I think like innately as human beings, we really do have that in us. Like kids can really grasp that kind of emotion, that kind of heartbreak for some reason.
But what got you about it? What was the thing that got you the most about
it? That right there, just feeling that kind of emotion that I'd never felt. Like I've obviously never had access to that kind of emotion before, so when I felt that, I was like, felt something turn in my gut, like, what the heck is this? Like, I had never heard like soul music. Like, I mean, it really gives me chills talking about it to this day, because I vividly remember it. It's like a core memory for me. And I went and told my dad, like, dude, Al Green is the coolest, man. And from then on, man, he used to play me all the time, Keith Sweat and Boys to Men. And
but you ended up, but you were singing along with it. Was anyone going like, man, he can really do this?
No,
he can really.
At the time, I didn't think about singing at all. I wasn't much of a singer until later on in my life. I mean, me and my best pal Jesse, who still plays guitar in my band and writes with me and stuff. Me and him started playing together when we were maybe going into 8th, 9th grade, maybe 14, 15 years old, something like that. We started hanging out and trying to get into it, 12 or 13, but really kind of got serious about it when we got in a theater together in high school and 16.
But is there, in my mind, like the movie version of the Teddy Swim story is like the hushed auditorium, and you walk out on stage and, you're this kid who and then you sing this song and everyone goes, oh my God, he can sing. He had that,
Yeah, it went so opposite of that. We sucked for a long time.
Oh, really?
We sucked for, but that's what, one thing about it though, I always try to tell folks it's like with singing, it's just like an instrument or a muscle that you gotta kind of prepare. And so I always tell people that like if you know you can't sing, that means you know you're not hitting it, and that means you can learn to sing. You know, you can learn.
You weren't good right away at singing.
No, God no. We were bad.
I figured you had one of those voices that like you know.
Man, I wish.
You had no.
God,
like...
we were bad, man. You know, but I remember me and Jesse used to always like. We would go like a lot of times to the movie theaters on the weekends and stuff like that. And, you know, instead of going into the movie theater, we just take out $20 from our parents and do what most 16-year-olds do with the $20 their parents give them.
Yeah.
And then to sit out there and sing and play. And, you know, we were the annoying kids that was bringing the guitar to the party. You know what I mean?
Hey, man, me too. I know that guy. Yeah. I know that. Yeah.
But well, at the time, man, a lot of the stuff we were into was so in the emo era, you know, and that pop punk. And we would always get on, like, me and him lived pretty close together. And there was like a Sonic drive-in like by near our houses. So we'd always get off the bus and meet up at the Sonic, get like one of those big Route 44 slushies, you know what I'm saying, a nasty burger. And then we'd go back to each other's houses and we'd take that time. And, you know, back in the day on MySpace, you could like, he would go like, if you listen to a band in their top 8, they might have other cool bands that are similar to them. And so we'd find bands and we'd come back and show each other like, I just found this band, you know, and we'd sit there and play stuff by like Forever the Sickest Kids and like, you know, like All Time Low, and like we were super into the pop punk era, you know.
I was looking at Vanessa out there because I love country music, and and Vanessa loves pop punk and emo and Fall Out Boy, and I'm just watching her recognize all these bands that I don't recognize. What's going on right
now. Man, we were in the depths of the most underground emo pop punk metalcore, like we were in the depths of it, dude.
And then you were doing musical theater at the same time.
Yeah, well, I didn't get into theater until I was in 10th grade, and you know Jesse's sister was doing it. You know, like his dad was always playing guitar and in bands and stuff, and his sister was in theater. His family was like super, you know, musically inclined, and so he was always playing guitar. And so when I started hanging out with him, I was like, this is where I want to be. I want to be like your dad, man. You know what I mean? Like Jesse's dad, Rodney, is the coolest guy ever. So we just wanted to be like him. And I remember he was always so wonderful to us, even when we sucked. It was like, there goes my favorite singer, my favorite guitarist in the world, you know?
So nice.
And then we even have the first thing I ever heard his dad sing was Wanted Dead or Alive by Bon Jovi. And he had the whole like PA set up in the garage and was jamming it out. And I was like, damn, that's so sick, dude. And so we always promised his dad, it was so cool that when we got to play at Red Rocks, which we will play this year, that we're going to do Wanted Dead or Alive with him at Red Rocks.
Oh,
and
no way.
We're all going to be up there sobbing, I'm sure. But yeah, he's going to come play it with us this year at Red Rocks. And it's so cool to give him that, you know?
You got to get Jesse that weird double guitar mandolin thing that Richie Sambora plays on the that weird, like,
he can figure it out, man. I literally just got Jesse for this tour. He's been wanting one of those like pedal stills, like lap. So I got him a lap steel, and dude, in like a week, he's mastered the damn thing. He's a genius, man.
You're doing musical theater. That's going all right. You're doing football. You make the call to do musical theater. You were a pretty good football player too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was all right. It's just like 5'7", I wasn't going anywhere as a defensive tackle. You know what I mean? It's just like every kid just kept growing, and I just kept staying there. And so it was like, this isn't going to work out. And luckily, you know, I remember telling my mom when I was like quitting football that she was so destroyed about it, man. She had pulled out all my trophies and all my little pictures and everything. Like, we've been doing this since we were 6 years old. Why would you do this to us? And she came to see my first like theater performance, and I maybe did like 2 lines in this show called Damn Yankees, and she was just like, you know what, baby, I'm sorry, you're a superstar, baby. You know, I had like 2 lines, you know, but such as moms, man, and hell yeah, thank God for Mom, man.
So when does the covers start? When do you start uploading those covers? Because this story is really interesting to me, the 6-month thing.
Yeah, so we had started doing the covers June 25th of 2019. It was 10 years from Michael Jackson's passing, you know, and so some website had like the stems of Rock With You on a website, just kind of like, you know, he had passed 10 years ago, and so to celebrate his passing, or not celebrate it, I don't want to say honor his life, I guess, celebrate his life.
Yeah.
I was just like, let's just upload it and like let's sing it and put it up and see what happens. And then sure enough, it just like overnight it had like 10,000 views. And at the time we were like, holy shit, 10,000 views.
Was this just for fun you did it? Were you trying to make it? Were you?
Well, I was in bands at the time, you know, so we were writing all the time, and you know, we were trying to be in bands, but I didn't expect this to be the thing that connected, you know. And so from then on, I was like, well, dude, why don't we just keep doing these covers? And it was a Tuesday, so it's like, let's just do them every Tuesday. You know, the fans started coining it Teddy Tuesdays, and then we just started doing one every Tuesday. And I was just like, because at the time, you know, all of my buddies, even Luke, my manager, I mean, like he was working at Hello Kitty in Sanrio and like in L.A. and I was like their marketing manager or something, and he was like booking conference rooms at Sanrio and like, you know, talking to labels and like FaceTiming us and like trying to like make it work and sneakingly like being my manager on the side of working at Sanrio.
Working for Hello Kitty.
Yeah.
And just for the covers, like just trying to make the covers happen.
I mean, of course we were writing and stuff at the same time and trying to get the thing going and, you know, have something to come to labels with. Cause like, again, there was a couple of my buddies who are already like filming music videos and stuff like that for metal bands and, you know, rock bands and stuff like that. And I was like, dude, we really have the studios, we have the musicians, we have the means, we have the videos, we have the means to do all of this ourselves. Like if we all just put like 6 months of our time into strictly this, I think we can turn this thing into something really special. You know, just like put all of our extra time into this. And
6 months was a real thing. You said 6 months from now. And didn't you all move into one?
We did, dude. We moved in this house in Snellville together. Luke packed up his Prius and moved across the country from LA to Snellville, Georgia. And we all got this house together. It was like a 5-bedroom house. I mean, we were building plyboard walls to split 2 bedrooms into 1 bedroom, or like split 1 bedroom into 2. We made this like an 8-bedroom house. There was like 12 of us living there and like 3 other guys coming all the time. And
what do you most remember about that time?
I mean, it was an absolute shit show. You know, I mean, it was definitely more of a frat house. You know, I mean, it was the amount of trash we had was absolutely insane. But what we did was every day, you know, some of us were working some of those guys were working full-time jobs, so they were working from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. and coming in and just working all day. And we were, you know, we had the means of doing everything. And so even my older brother was coming over and out of our garage, we were like fulfilling and shipping our merch. And so he was like doing all of our merch. So we had our own merch company, like our own video, everything. So it's like if we can, and we built 2 studios in that house and we like really did the damn thing. And I'm telling you, what was so crazy is from 6 months, it was June 25th we started, in December 24th of 2019, a day less than 6 months, which is so nuts. We signed on records and like on Christmas Eve and was able to put all of them on salary, and we you know, kept going since then. And
is it just coincidence? Why do you account that you gave yourself 6 months and 5 months and 29 days it happened?
I don't know. I think there's just something powerful about the manifestation of it. You know, we all came together, and I think this is like a once in eternity situation, and all of us were able to be so close, and all of us did. We had a guy for everything, and it was like that small town just really worked out for us.
You had a plan. You had a deadline. You had a plan.
Yeah, and I think just us having that plan and having enough people that believed in the plan and us all sticking to our guns and knowing that we had something was because I think if there was one person that wasn't there, you know, that didn't do that part, then I don't know we would be here today. You know, I think it was so great that we all had the same love and the same thing for our craft, and we had each other and we believed in each other. And I think if you were lucky enough to have something like that, there's no telling. The sky's the limit, really. You know.
Let's this is a Canadian show, so we got to play the song that kind of did it.
Woo! Come on, Shania. It's so nuts to hear the quality that we've, you know, like from then. I don't even hear my voice from like.
You sound different.
Yeah, from 5 years ago.
What do you hear? What do you hear?
It's just it's a beautiful thing to hear now, you know. But I just, it's so like my voice feels so different now, you know. And there's so much life that I've lived since then too, you know. It's such a weird thing to. Even singing that song now, hearing recordings of it when we do it live, it sounds so different now, you know? And it's still there, but it's like different.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I mean, let me just give people listening some context. That video has over 200 million views on YouTube. Led to your record deal.
Yeah.
Is that a phone call? Is that an email? What? Can you take me into the moment where you find out that has led to the record deal?
Well, so me and Luke were my manager. We were going, you know, I remember our first trips to like LA and New York and doing like we were meeting with everyone, you know.
There was interest in you because of the things was doing.
Yeah, and we were meeting with everybody at the time, and I remember us telling me and Luke telling, we were trying to convince the labels all the time because we would never take flights or hotel rooms from them or anything that they would pay for to get us out there because we wanted to convince them that, oh, we got this amazing YouTube business and we're doing our own merch business and everything's going swimmingly for us. So we don't need any of you. We're trying to live this, but this whole time we're going to LA and we're sleeping on the floor of Luke's sister's house. And we're really roughing it. He's got a little bit of money saved up from Sanrio. That is how we're eating, and we're like really roughing it out here. And we're trying to convince all these labels like we don't need anything from you, like to keep our like give us what we want or we're walking. So everyone's interested.
What was the final moment? What was the moment they went, okay, we're going to do it?
I know it was just such a new family and a newfound thing there at Warner Records, and I just felt like we kind of had the same ideals or something, and it really felt family, and I just remember walking out of Warner's office and feeling like, man, it was so funny too. There's one of the most beautiful stories I love about it is we went to go meet with Warner and we're trying to look all prim and proper, and me and Luke go to use the bathroom right after we get done with the meeting, and I look at the mirror, and it's a full body mirror, and I look down at my feet, and I was wearing like my socks weren't matching, and we laughed like hell. And I was like, "How professional is that?"
You were trying to project this professional image.
My socks are like red and blue or something. It was great. But
listen, my question about that is, there's a way that this could have gone after that it didn't go. So artists that get really big doing covers, whether it's their decision or someone else's decision, it can go one of two ways. They keep making covers, and then they become a cover artist, and they keep a lot of money in that, and it's fine. Or the label says, oh, these guys, their cover songs are doing really well. We're going to get some other people in. We're gonna write the songs for them. And they're just going to be vessels of these songs. I find it really interesting that you and a handful of others made the transition to writing your own music. And like you said, you were writing your own songs, but the story I heard that you were writing your own songs up to this. The story I heard is that you were sort of nervous about it.
Oh, yeah.
That these songs were like the songs that you are now famous for are about tough stuff in your life, about toxic relationships, about healing, about all that stuff. You were nervous about.
Well, yeah. I mean, the one thing that was terrifying when you're coming up to like trying to, and I can see why so many people get stuck in a cover world, where they never break out, because it's the comparison of yourself to some of the greatest songs on earth that you've sang, that you've maybe gotten some notoriety for, like it tore me up to be like, how the hell am I ever going to write a Still the One, or how am I going to write a?
Yeah, it's kind of a prison. Yeah. It's kind of a prison, isn't it?
It can be.
You're kind of like handcuffed.
And as I was comparing myself, I was like, God, I'll never write I Can't Make You Love Me. I'll never write anything like that, and so I was terrified of people just being like, they don't want to hear any of my stuff, and I mean, of course, we just sharpen the knife and keep writing and keep throwing stuff at the wall and just keep pushing it. And then, I'm so grateful. I mean, there's a level of I guess work ethic and everything's got to be right at the right time. There's a level of luck too. There's I think everything just lined up at the right time in the right way, and I guess something connected, So
but how did you get over that? How did you get over the?
I'm so lucky that because I was thinking, because those songs were so big, that's why they're connecting, and I was also kind of removing myself from that. Like I was also connecting, and how do I? Well, I was singing those songs and paying homage to the artist and to the song itself, but also applying my own, experiences or relationships to those things. And I think that's why they were connecting, because they were authentic to me still. And so how do I write songs? How do I write songs that feel authentic? How do I become vulnerable enough? Because I think for so long in my life when I was first writing, I was kind of writing from a place of like thinking of what would connect, or like comparing myself to the people that I was looking up to. And it turns out when you're trying to write something to be relatable, that is so not the relatable thing. I find that the most, like, if you write things so superly specific about you, that's the most relatable thing. The thing that you think is like only you are going through, because it turns out everybody's going through the same damn thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's so interesting. Which is what's happening in those songs. When you were singing "Still the One," that was about Shania writing about her relationship with her husband at the time.
And to me, that's about my mama. Like that to me is like my sweet mama, and us like spending that times in the cars listening to that. And
get out of here.
And that I think that connected in a way for other people that were like, I never thought of that being that way. And it just, you apply that to what you're going through, and I see that now as we go through people singing my songs at the shows. It's like, they maybe got married to this, or this helped somebody through their divorce, or like there's a summer that they spent with their friend, that they'll always think about my album as that time in their life. Like I always say it like the Carter Three. Like, when I was in ninth grade, it was like, I was going to my first high school parties, and I was tried LSD for the first time, and I was like experimenting
That's
with
legal
life.
here.
And,
I'm only joking.
and it was a real coming of age time for me.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so
yeah.
when I think about that whole album, I think about a whole summer with me and my best friends, and like a real coming of age story for me. When reality, like, who knows what Lil Wayne was going through when he was dealing with all that stuff, But for me, it's this, and so I think there's a way that. Music is like scripture in a lot of ways, where it applies to what you're going through in your relationship or your memories or your, circumstance. And
yeah. The same way that's what Bible verses are supposed to do.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be specific enough about a story about this dude, and then also broad enough that you're able to apply the stuff to your own life.
Yeah, I think like a sermon can be spoken about this one verse in this way, and a whole nother lesson from another guy. It's.
I'm going to play the big hit.
You got it.
Don't you know?
Tom Power, you're listening to Q. Teddy Swims in studio with me right now. That's his gigantic song, Lose Control. I noticed you were like smiling and laughing. What were you thinking about while that was?
It's just so crazy to. I mean, it's now the longest running top 10 of all time, and we just tied for the longest running top 100 of all time, which hopefully next week we beat. And it's now one of the greatest songs of all time, which is so crazy. Like when I knew that song would change my life, but that it's such a behemoth that I did not know that it was going to get as big as it is. I knew it was going to be, but like I didn't know it was going to do this.
What do you mean? When was the first time you knew it was going to be?
Oh, as soon as we got it done, as soon as we wrote it, as soon as the first recording of it, like this first conception of it was like, this is life changing. We found that, like, this is the thing. This is it. Yeah, we knew it. All of us in that room were like, oh my God, we knew this was the one. Like we got everything we needed out of it. It's like I knew that it could apply everywhere. Like I knew that this was like enough rock and roll, enough R&B, enough country, enough like I knew it had all the things that I love.
And specific about like your heartbreak, someone who broke your heart in that way that we were talking about, that can be open to everybody else.
And I was a really rough place then. And I was really coming, and I was in this relationship, and it was just so bad. And I remember crying that day before we got that song done, and talking to Julian and my buddy Jesse about it, and we're just out there sobbing, and I mean things were just going really rough, and I think it just that song and The Door was the same day we did, and it was just like there was some magic or something I was going through that just really captured lightning in a bottle that day, and I mean I'm just now I think about that relationship, and I'm so grateful because like as bad as it was. I can't be too mad at her. She made me a damn millionaire.
I got a reflection on that song, and I think I got a question on it. Let me just say something to you. I think about it. I think that's the biggest song with that has a really hard to sing chorus. Like typically choruses are easy to sing. Like typically hit songs. Typically what I mean is typically hit songs have really easy to sing choruses. That song's hook is a very challenging vocal run. I lose control.
Yeah, which is so crazy. Yeah, I know, dude. So Julian Bunetta, he's the executive producer and helps me write does everything with me, man. The best guy ever. And I mean, also having such a moment too. He's done all of Sabrina Carpenter's Espresso, man. That's a true Gracie Abrams. He's
doing okay. He's doing that. You know what? He's all right. He can buy a new couch if he wants to.
Yeah, but we've been working together since I started my first trip in LA. He was like the first writer I wrote with too, and I mean, he just like really. We loved on each other. He took me under his wing and really was like, bro, I got your back. I love you, Teddy. And I mean, dude, I remember when we were hearing the piano of Lose Control, and he was like, I got this. Like we're at a writing camp in Palm Springs, and he's like, dude, it was that one and The Door. He's like, I need these two songs have to be done this week. These are the ones I'm focused on this week. Cause he's like, when the piano started, he was like, dude, I just hear like I lose, and it's like control, but like Teddy, you're just gonna do like some crazy run. He was like, I think it would be really cool if we made like it's kind of like a simple chorus, but like something that's going to be difficult for people to sing, but still catchy, you know. And
Did you make it up in the moment?
I recently had him pull this up because we were doing some interview where we were taking it, and I had found like the other runs we had did, and I tried a few different ones until I hit that one, and he was like, "That's the one. That's the run."
So there was like, I lose control.
Yeah, there was a bunch of different stuff. Yeah, I can't
right.
remember the first one. I'd found the original one, and it was so different. It was so different, and like even the I think it was even like at the beginning too. It was like, when I'm not next to you or something like that, you know. And I don't know. It was like a whole different rhyme scheme and everything.
Yeah,
And we finally got it in there, you know. And I think maybe Mickey Echo was the one that was like next to me, you know, or something. Like it was I don't know. He had and he's like he kind of came up with that second verse. I remember Julian. It's such a cool way that song was written because Julian was like, okay, we got the chorus, we just got to figure out the run. Teddy, you can just freestyle that, get whatever, we'll know what it's the right one. And I was talking about this relationship and stuff like that. And so Julian's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just write down a whole bunch of lyrics on my phone that with everything you said, take that in mind and just write a bunch of lyrics on my phone. And then Mickey did like a mumble track of this like problematic thing, you know, this whole thing, but without the lyrics, just a mumble. And he was like, Mickey, you go out by the pool, you just write down that second verse. Go ahead and write that second verse yourself. I'm gonna go write a bunch of lyrics. We're all gonna come back together in about 30 minutes. And then, so Julian hands me these lyrics, pulls up the beat and says, or just sing whatever comes to the top of your head based on these lyrics. And so the very first take of it, it's me singing. That first verse is literally, I was writing the melody to the words, and then the second verse is words written to a melody, and it's so weird how it kind of happens like
That's
that. And then the
strange.
chorus
Yeah,
just
yeah.
kind of fell out. So there's like melody words written together at the same time on the chorus, and then words written to melody on the second verse, and melody written to words on the first verse. And so there's so many different styles of songwriting that just came and was the perfect storm, you know.
What I find really interesting about you, and I haven't heard you talk about that much, is that this song blew up on radio and streaming through like hard work of like doing interviews, of doing things the old-fashioned way.
I think that still works like really well, you know.
What I'm arguing with you is it might work better because
does.
what you have seems to have is sustainability and not that song. Lose Control could have come and gone, man. You know what I mean? Like it could have, or artists who have as big hits as, maybe not as big, but artists who have big hits that get big on TikTok, it does go away. And
It sure does, yeah.
And yours didn't, you know?
You know, even if something's going crazy on TikTok or doing whatever it is, and it starts getting picked up on radio and starts getting traction, it's different than when you're going and seeking out the person and like, you know, every time that we stop by somewhere, or we stop by the karaoke bar and sing this song, or we stop by the busker on the side of the street and we sing this song, or we make those one-on-one connections with the radio person, or we come in and do this and I start chatting with you and we have a great time and we really kick on. Now next time when something's happening or anything good is happening or my songs are out, you're more likely to take your friend's song and be like, man, I love to see this guy win because he's a good guy.
So this is intentional on your part.
Yeah, because I think I go and make, like I never met a friend that ain't my best. You know what I mean? And I live by that. And it's when you go and love on somebody and give them that time, and you know that time is so special, man. It's so precious. There's no dollar sign amount that you can put on time you can't get back, man. You know. And I just think it's like when you share that time with someone, there's so much more willing also to be like, I want to see my friend win, rather than. And so they're always I'm always keeping those connections so strong and alive. And it's important to go and shake the hand and hug the neck and love on people. It's so important to go everywhere you can and do that, because people remember that stuff, and people keep that precious and close to their heart, you know. And they also you're showing so much more of your authenticity and yourself, and you're putting yourself out there more than just you dancing and singing song. Actually, just the more I get to talk about why the song is or where my heart is, the more time I get to be vulnerable and open, the more more I connect with people that are waiting for an opportunity to be open as well. You know?
But that's countercultural, man. You know what I mean? Like that's not where things are going in terms of like realistically, you're probably if someone was to build your career over AI, it probably would look like, you know, you have a big hit song and then you jump on a bunch of different TikTok trends. And I'm not shit talking TikTok.
Yeah.
I love TikTok.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or I'm also not shit talking artists that do big on TikTok at all. I would never do that. But maybe I just find it really interesting that you haven't really jumped in any trends, and you're saying you're kind of still doing things the old-fashioned way, and it can't be the old-fashioned way because it's working.
Well, and I think the cool thing is about TikTok is that like people. Now that people have the ability to choose what they want, and it's not so much about, like, you know, the label signs an artist, gives them the best song in the world and puts it out there. It doesn't work like that. You can't just give a great song to a great artist and hope the best for that. It doesn't work like that anymore because it has to come from the artist has really got to bring themselves to it. It's got to be authentic to them. And so, you know, when you're scrolling through TikTok, when you see something that's truly connecting and someone's connecting with a song and it's authentic to them and they're singing from a place that's like really authentic, people tend to be in love with that rather than like someone just singing a great song and looking great. You know, you can tell the authenticity in something or the love of something that somebody's doing, and you much rather pick that, and people follow that. And I think so. Every time that I ever tried when I was first coming up on TikTok and stuff was trying to do the things that felt weird.
Oh, you did do some of that? You tried to do some of that stuff?
I wanted to try to I try to find my way to find it authentic for me, because at first I was like, ooh, I'm not getting on there dancing and doing this stuff. And if I tried that, of course it was going to fall on its face, because you could tell I'm not that guy. You know what I mean? So why try to be that guy? Because that's not going to connect. So when I'm just myself, people can see you being yourself, and they're like, hey, I like this guy. He's at least unapologetically him, you know, and the authenticity is what people can sniff out in social media. And I think, and so it's not about like, I think when it comes to social media, it's about finding the truest way to portray yourself, the most you can be. And that's what's going to make it special and connect, you know?
I mean, I think you're a testament to that. Let's go out on one more song.
I love this song.
Yeah, me too. I really love this song. Teddy Swims in Bad Dreams from his latest album, I've Tried Everything But Therapy Part 2. Tell me about that song.
You know, this was also another camp that we did in Palm Springs, and as we were writing for the Part 2. And I struggle with nightmares a lot in my life, and I guess my mind really never turns off. I'm waking up every 30 minutes a lot of times.
Do they wake you up?
Oh, yeah, man. I'll shoot out of sleep and waking up all the time from them. And it's been so wonderful to have someone in my life. You know, Rachel's really changed my life a lot when we first started being together, because she would always be like, here, take some magnesium, or take some activated charcoal, or take this, or like, I'll wake up with you and just be like, shh, everything's okay, you know, go back to sleep. And, you know, she's just been so helpful and had given me, because I'd have tried everything, you know, I had tried doing melatonins, or like, hell, taking an Ambien, taking a Xanax. I tried everything, you know, and it was just like, even if it worked, I would sleeping like a rock and waking up just like, oh, shitty. You
That's
know?
the trade-off. Me too, man. I've suffered from this too, and I'll be like, it's okay. I'll take 5 milligrams of melatonin and I can sleep, and then I feel like garbage when I wake up. Yeah.
Or dude, worse for me, I always get the sleep paralysis if I take the melatonin. I just like, you know, where you're just kind of stuck with your eyes closed and you can't like, you're like, I'm asleep still, but I'm awake. And
do you ever get the old hag?
Oh, God.
Back where I'm from, like, everyone's waiting for a bell to go off where I mention this in every interview, but I'm from Newfoundland, like on the far east coast of Canada, like an island off the east coast of Canada, and we get this thing called the old hag, which is sleep paralysis. And it's like documented. It's like happens to Newfoundlanders way more. But you'll get sleep paralysis, and you'll kind of wake up, and there'll be someone in the room with you, and they'll be walking towards you. And because you're sleep paralysis, you can't move and you can't scream, and it's like the most terrifying nightmare.
I've never seen anyone. I can never get my eyes open. I'm just kind of stuck with my eyes closed. Like, I did this one time on a plane where I was like kind of leaning on my chair like this, and I finally like gotten my body to like, because I usually try to just go like 1, 2, 3 and just like jump up, you
Yeah.
know. But I literally got enough off of the seat where I was laying my head and was just falling forward, like it was just stuck like this, dude. Like, and I was like, oh no, dude, I was stuck like that. I had to be like, dude, till somebody finally chucked me because I was sitting like this.
Oh, so you got real bad dreams. That's a song about having real bad dreams.
Yeah, it is.
And your wife being there for you.
Yeah, because I we were talking about it, and I was, because dude, there was a couple nights where, you know, usually in when our Palm Springs camps, we're locked into a house. It's me and 8 people probably, and we got like 2 rooms going, and we're just writing around the clock and just locked into this house for 5 days. Everything we need's there, and we just kind of stay in that atmosphere and that feeling, you know. And I was talking to him, and me and Julian will always go and do walks in the early in the day. We'll just take our shoes off and walk around, do some grounding, and talk about the day and talk about what's on your mind before we start writing. And I was just like telling him one evening, I was like, dude, I'm terrified of sleeping. Sometimes I'll just stay up at way too late. I mean, especially at camps, I'm like up till 5, and then I'm waking up at like 9, just trying not to get sleep. And and he's like, man, you need to sleep more. And I was just like, dude, I'm scared of sleep. I'm terrified of it. I hate sleeping. It's the worst thing for me. And he's like, why don't we write that? Why don't we write that? And, you know, so we wrote it. And
It's a great song.
yeah, and it doesn't, you know, you would never know that it's like about a real
I didn't think it was a
struggle.
literal song.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I'm just thinking about a lot of younger artists listen to this show. And it didn't used to happen, but more and more of them are coming up to me going like, you know, I heard so-and-so talk about, you know, their journey and their whole story, and it made me think differently about what I got to do as an artist or the kind of artist I want to be. Can you name a lesson that you learned that you wish you had learned earlier that maybe people listening to this can learn now?
Suck as much as possible. dude.
Really?
You know, like, because I find that there's one thing that I will always say. There was a time I was home for Thanksgiving, and this is like one of the biggest lessons, and it was kind of an accident to learn. I was home for Thanksgiving one time, and my aunt says to me that she's like, baby, you always say that you're out in Nashville, or you're out in LA, and you're writing all these songs, and you're writing songs every day, but there's only like 10 songs out, or 5 songs out. Where are all these songs going? And I was like, well, I'm just trying to write the good ones. She said, why don't you only write the good ones? And it really hit me like right in the chest, like, because I can't, you know, I can't. And
Why don't you only write the good ones?
yeah, and I was like, I can't, you know. And when I finally like came to terms with that, everything that I ever had about writer's block, or any time that I ever had some issue with writing, it was like that. It's dawned on me that when you're starting to think too much, or you're starting to like, or you get starting through something and you're starting something and you're like, oh, this isn't the hit, or this doesn't feel like this, or are you trying to guide something to be something, and you're like, no, it sounds too much like this, or it sounds like this, or this might be too country, or this is too rock and roll, or like whatever. Then you start like coming in the way of what the thing wants to be, and it starts dissipating so quickly. I'd say just, even if it sucks, just finish it. Finish
let
it,
it suck.
man. Yeah, finish it and let it suck. And nobody else is going to be counting your failures except for you. And just try not to count them. You know, when something connects, it connects. And when something doesn't, whatever, it's lost in the ether, man. And what's the worst thing that can happen when I got the biggest hit? You know, arguably one of the biggest hits of all time. That when they see a song that sucked, like that's out, or a video of me from 5 years ago trying and failing, then hell yeah, good. Like, you know, it just shows that we all grow, we all learn, and we all are gonna suck again. You know, it's okay to suck.
It is truly okay to suck.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in, man.
Thank you, bud.
Lovely to meet you.
You too, bro.
I got a lot of admiration for you. You made a couple of great records here. I'm excited to see what's coming up.
Thank you, man.